state their name and address. Members of the audience are asked to limit their questions and comments to no more than 5 minutes. This limit will permit time for all those who wish to speak to the board to do so. Whenever members of the audience exceed this time limit, the board president may ask the individual to yield the microphone to the next speaker. This is in reference to board policy 8344.2.
Mr. Clark, did you read that?
You know, if you weren't so old, I would be far more abusive. Okay,
Of age discrimination.
Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Abrams, would you lead us, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. I'd like to apologize for us starting about 3 minutes late, but you see there was a small accident back here in the snack bar of crushed donuts all over the back. Now, fortunately, I can't tell you much more than that because the young man who smashed the donuts in the back there, not only did he not clean it up, but he has friends that prevailed on me not to give away who it was. So he's got a great friend in the back there, and I didn't say his name. I kept my promise. He knows who he is, and he has all night to get it cleaned up.
I can testify they taste good though.
Yeah, well, so can Mr. Schilling.
Let's keep moving.
Yes, the severe diabetic over there had 2. Okay. I don't think I have that first. Okay. Members of the board, we recommend approval of the minutes of the 776 meeting held on 2/18/99 as circulated. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Hill, second by Sierpinski. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Recommend approval of the minutes of the 777th meeting held on 2/18/99 as circulated.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Sierpinski, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Again, we recommend approval of the minutes of the work session held on 3/9/99 as circulated.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Sierpinski, second by Hill. Questions? All in favor say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you. Also for the record, Ms. Liberowski, there was an executive session of personnel held yesterday from 10 o'clock in the morning till 12:05 in the afternoon. Okay, committee reports, support services, Mr. Schoen.
Yes, at Napa Elementary School, we have occupied the new art room and expanded the cafeteria area. Both areas are welcome additions for students and staff. With our current weather change, we will be able to complete the remaining exterior on the addition. At North Penn High School, we have completed the exterior masonry work and scaffolding has been removed, and for the first time, you can appreciate the overall appearance of the new addition. Much finished work continues on the inside of the building, including installation of electrical devices, sprinkler heads, bathroom partitions, interior doors, and science lab casework. On Monday, March 15, 1999, an automatic door opening system was installed at Penndale Middle School. As a reminder, the March support service meeting will be held March 25th, 1999 at 6 o'clock here at the ESC Educational Service Center. Thank you, and report.
Any questions of Mr. Schilling? Okay, thank you. Educational services, Mr. Sierpinski.
Thank you, Madam President. The Educational Services Committee met on February 25th. We received an update on the alternative education proposals put forth by Mr. Rusnak. Also, we discussed and moved to the Policy Committee the homebound instruction policy and also the confidentiality policy versus that. We reinstituted the Guidance Review Committee and we received the PSSA update. The public should note that the next meeting of the Educational Services Committee will be March 25th at 7 p.m. here at the ESC. End of report.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. Sierpinski? Okay, finance, Mr. O'Donnell.
Finance, we've been having our weekly budget meetings. Last week we held off on moving that up to this week. The next budget meeting is this Tuesday, the 23rd at 6 o'clock. We're having Dennis Harkin come in from the IU to give us a complete presentation. We're having support services come forward, technology and personnel also. I can't emphasize enough to have the rest of the board show up to these meetings because one thing we don't want to have to do is we have to rehash all these numbers. But come time for the final, down to the final vote for the budget. That's the whole purpose of requesting all the board members there. So again, especially the IU, usually we have a lot of questions on that. I request again that the full board be there this Tuesday at 6 o'clock. End of report.
Thank you, sir. Any questions of Mr. O'Donnell? Thank you.
Yes, Madam President.
Yes.
I noticed tonight on the agenda that there is going to be a motion to recommend considering the resolution to refinance.
Correct.
Is there any reason why we don't have a green sheet on that? We usually have a green sheet.
No, I think this is to start the letter, not,
You usually have a green sheet when there's a resolution or any kind of a motion on the agenda.
We had that green sheet attached to the work session. I
never
believe
got a
so,
green sheet.
because this matter was at the last work session.
But there was no green sheet. I don't have one. I checked.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think there should be a green sheet to explain exactly what we're doing in a little more detail than just a resolution. I know it's a minor technicality, but you said that when you took over the presidency 2 years ago, that every motion would have a green sheet. And I
Okay, but
just think,
this motion is in direct response to what we had on the agenda for the work session, and there were either green sheets or all the information that we had received for the work session, plus the night of the work session, we received another packet of information from Dauphin and Bradbury themselves.
that's fine. I mean, it's,
Okay.
I just thought that, we should have a little more detail, but that's all right, that's fine.
Any other questions of Mr. O'Donnell? Okay, thank you. Under personnel matters to be handled this evening for purposes of hirings, the acceptance of resignations, changes in the employee statuses are all listed tonight as part of your agenda. Also this week, we did have an executive session in the area of personnel to discuss personnel matters of individual employees. Also, we are not ready from personnel to bring to the board as of yet any recommendations on administrative salaries. That's being held at this point until there's further research done on the salary bands and any other issues of personnel as it relates to the upcoming budget and recommendations for salary or incremental increases are also under study and not ready to be brought to the full board. And to report, are there any questions of personnel? Thank you. Community Relations Policy, Intergovernmental Affairs, Mr. Hill.
No report. The next meeting will be on the 6th at 6 p.m.
No report?
no report?
No report.
You're one of them.
Covers it all.
Well, you can make one on. Questions of Mr. Hill? I have one comment. I'm still getting calls from specific moms from specific elementary schools about our lice policy, and could the policy committee please look at that again?
Our lice,
Lice. Head lice.
they want them, or they need them, or they want them, or
They don't have enough?
don't have enough? What's the problem?
We'll budget them next
We will,
year.
He's got 4 more years.
we will look at that in
It's
depth.
frightening. It's frightening. What?
We'll look at that in depth.
Will you please?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions of Don Hill? Thank you.
Dairy.
Yeah, dairy. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, audience to citizens, this is your time. Please come forward, state your name and address. Mr. Bailey.
My name's Charles.
Yes.
My name's Charles Bailey. I live at 953 Garfield Avenue in Upper Gwinnett Township. In response to concerns that Mr. Mosey expressed about the refinance, I'd like to point out a couple things about the proposed refinance as I understand it and ask some questions. I have these 6 exhibits which were given out, and they show some interesting things. It says that on the front page, it says that the proposed refinance will leave the district with bond issues totaling $61,975,000. It then lists the individual items that will be, the individual bonds that make that up. There's $59.7 million worth of bonds, and then there's $700,000 worth of itemized expenses, and then there's proceeds of $1,000,006, and that makes up the total of $61,975. So according to the front page summary, the school district will realize cash proceeds of $1,000,006 for a cost of $700,000, which appears a little high perhaps, but it's not totally unreasonable. Now, the last exhibit of this handout, item 6, says the principal amounts to be refunded, and it lists the different bonds, the principal outstanding, the principal not refunded, and then the principal that is to be refunded. And if you add up the amounts that are going to be refunded, it says here that adds up to $56,745,000, which leaves $3 million unaccounted for. Let me just say it again. What the paperwork that I have says is that your proposal is to refund $56.7 million of outstanding debt today. And when you're finished doing that, you will owe $61,975,000. So you will owe something like $5 million more than what you started out with. And for that additional $5 million worth of debt, you get $1,006,000 in proceeds that you can spend. And the itemized expenses are $700,000, and there's $3 million that's unaccounted for. Now, the only explanation I could come up with myself was when I looked at the individual line items on the front page versus the line items on one of these other schedules. What I found was, for example, the 1996 series, which currently has an outstanding due amount of $26,575,000. After the refinance, that series will be owed $28,200,000. So there's a discrepancy of $1,006,000 in the amount on that one bond, which would appear to me perhaps to be maybe a couple things, but perhaps one of them is a penalty that you have to pay in order to pay the thing off before it matures. If so, that is a hidden expense of the financing operation, which is not disclosed on your summary of expenses. And I think at least all of your penalties that you have to pay these things off early, that should be considered an expense of doing the bond refunding. And if that's the case, then to borrow $5 million, incur $5 million of debt in order to get $1.6 million that you can spend seems to be an excessive cost to benefit ratio, and that you'd be better off just to borrow the $1,006,000 if that's what you need, rather than refinance all the other things. The other thing that concerns me about this, that's one point that I want to make, and I think should be addressed by the board before you make the decision. The other thing is, when you refinance and the coupon rate is whatever it is, let's say it's 3%, and there's penalties if you pay it off early, and then you pay it off early, the actual interest expense you incur is much higher than the stated amount. So when you go do the refinance and you say the new coupon rates are a certain amount and they have early payment penalties if you pay it off early, that's a misleading piece of information, because it really doesn't disclose the full picture of what happens when you actually do refinance at a future date, because interest rates have come down. That's my statement. Thank you.
One moment. Mr. Sowers, can you address what Mr. Bailey's had to say tonight in terms of his interpretation?
In response to your question, sir, look to the supplemental schedule that was presented by Dalton Bradbury.
That's Schedule 6.
Second handout.
Supplemental, one, total, one heading that had supplement on it.
date was that issued?
March 2nd.
Is that in supplement?
Yes. I'm just, if I could continue with your line of questioning regarding the principal amount of the bond issue being higher than the refunding par value or the increase in principal amount or indebtedness of the school district. The other way to look at the transaction is the debt service before and after the refunding. And on Schedule 2 of the analysis by Dolphin and Bradbury, at the end of the day or at the settlement table.
I understand the point. The point we're making is that the cash flow after refinance is the same as the cash flow before refinance.
Correct.
The difference is that you now owe an extra $6 million instead of $1.5 million. And when you go to refund that long-term debt 2 or 3 years down the road, you're going to have to pay a premium to pay it off. So the actual cash flow that will play itself out into the future is going to be less favorable than the one that's presented, because the one that's presented does not include the cost of refinancing at a future date and paying off the prepayment penalties.
Okay.
That's my take on it. I mean, if somebody said to me, I can refinance my house, I now owe $100,000, and I can increase the amount that I owe to $125,000, and I make the same debt payment, I don't think they've done me a favor.
Well,
Charles, I'd just like a quick response. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and I'm not going to work them out now, because we're beyond the 5 minutes that you're allowed, but we all had specifically asked those questions. If we're borrowing 100 now, and we're just simply to refinance, it's to say the debt is not going to increase at all. So you may not have all the complete information.
Well, okay, the printed documents that I have say that the debt, the total amount of money owed goes from $56,745,000 to $61,975,000. And for that increase in amount owed,
I know what you're saying.
you get $1,600,000 that you can spend.
And obviously, that's a business decision, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that that's not what we were presented with. You may not have all the information, but what we can do with this is obviously raise the awareness level, and we can ask Bob Bradbury, just what you're saying, hey, could you please explain this? I don't think you have all the information there.
Okay.
Good point. Good point.
It looks funny to me.
Oh, what?
Thank you.
Jim,
Thanks, Charlie.
I'd appreciate if Christina tape of this specific meeting, especially this presentation by Mr. Bailey, be given to Jim so Jim can provide it to Dolphin and Bradbury, and we would want his response to what Mr. Bailey had to say. Because it has been paid now the interest of the entire loan. Mr. Riley.
Donald Riley, I live in Chamonix, Walton County Township. I'm on my way over to Norristown now to argue with state representatives for dumping this matter of the homestead exclusion bit on the school boards and the Board of Assessment. It's a disgrace. When we voted in 1997 for this bill, it was set up supposedly, in my understanding, the way the Florida setup is. Much simpler and easier than all the malarkey that's going around now. My understanding is down in the south, if you have a $700,000 house, you make it a $25,000 break, you pay on $675,000. Might have a $200,000 house, you pay on $175,000. Might have an $80,000 house, you pay on $55,000. That gives the poorer people, maybe not the Gwyned's, but it gives the poorer people and the older people, that are senior citizens, a real break. And that's the way it's supposed to be implemented, but unfortunately, our state legislator has dumped it on you folks. We appreciate the time with the tax study and the commission. Hopefully we'll follow on this. As I said to Mr. Hill the other night, I'm very disappointed in the Pennsylvania School Boards Association for even daring to think that they would tax unearned income, possibly tax Social Security. Now, that's just to scare senior citizens, and I represent people who have paid their dues and worked a great many years. So that's where we stand. And on one other matter, I expect to be in touch shortly. I got a letter today. Might be heading for a lawsuit. We have 60 to 100 people in our adult community they're not getting tax bills because of the Board of Assessment and the tax collector in Montgomery Township stonewalling and not sending bills to people when they move or go into nursing homes. And the bills are being sent all over the country, and sooner or later, you folks aren't going to get the money and the tax money. And of course, if the property's lien and goes to a tax sale, and somebody picks it up for $20,000 and sells it for $70,000, and over my dead body will that happen? That's why I'm no longer a committee man. I don't need the malarkey from the federal government, the state government, the county government, the school boards, and the local government. I'll work for good causes and good people. I expect to be working with Mr. Taylor on this matter, and he probably hasn't even gotten his mail yet today, but this, hopefully we can resolve this so the North Penn School District gets their money, and people who want to pay taxes can get their bills without having to beg for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate it. 62 to 100 people? Crazy. Again, thank you, Don. Anybody else, please? Mr. Vigilante, and then Mrs. Olkowski.
Hi, Gary Vigilante, Hatfield Township. We're revising the calendar for this year. We're only making up one of the 3 days?
Yes.
Okay.
We had 182 days in the calendar, and at a previous board meeting, we discussed using those two as teacher and service days at the end of the year, and now that we had a snow day, we'll be making up for K through 11 that day on June 14th, I believe it is, and I'll be asking the state for a waiver for seniors to keep graduation on June the 11th.
Okay. Also on tonight's agenda on the bids for the nursing supplies, we have all these local people that have no bid. Why are their names on here when they didn't put a bid? And I find it funny that somebody from New York got the bid and all these local people's names are here because they didn't put in a bid. Do we just list everybody we think of, or?
They probably picked up the material, the bid on.
And so we put their name on the list?
Anybody that picks up a bid, you expect a bid, so they're listed, and when the time comes to open the bids up, you read the ones that are there, and the other ones, there's no bid.
Okay. For something like this, would anyone care to guess why nobody wanted to bid that locally?
Quantity.
Probably it felt they
Just
weren't competitive.
Yeah, couldn't beat the prices, and I'm sure this firm out of New York probably has more in quantity, therefore can provide a better price than some of our others.
Okay. And I have one other question in regards to technology. I've had this question on my mind for some time, and I thought it was a dumb question, but maybe it's not. We're putting computers in all the classrooms, and yet we're only teaching keyboarding in grade 7. Is that something that's going to be looked at?
Yes, that's part of phase 2. When we talk about computer curriculum, I believe we look at it in 2 ways. One is how we integrate it into the regular curriculum, and the second is what we call literacy. And we know that we need to take our current literacy program and technology and move it down into the elementary school. So that'll be something that'll be addressed in phase 2.
Will that be for next year?
We're hoping so.
Good enough, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else, please? Ms. Olkowski.
June Olkowski, Menson Township. I share Mr. Bailey's concerns about the refinancing of all these bonds. And frankly, I just don't see any sense in it when we're getting such a little return for taking on another $5 or $6 million in debt. And whatever savings we may actually realize at this time and whatever lower interest rate, I'm sure well, I shouldn't say I'm sure, but I doubt if it'll ever really materialize, because in a year or 2 from now, we'll probably be refinancing again, because this is the way North Penn operates. In the last 20 years, we probably, dozens of times have probably refinanced bonds. And if we have to pay $3 million and some in penalties and take on additional debt, I don't care if the payments stay the same, we're still taking on additional debt. And if down the road this becomes another refinance, then we have $6 more million that we'll be refinancing down in the future. The main item I want to discuss tonight is our base program. Since Mr. Shapinsky brought it out at the last meeting that two other school districts in the area, Hatboro, Horsham, and Central Bucks, run their own programs, I have done some investigating of my own. I have talked to people in both those districts who run the programs. Their costs are substantially lower than what children in our district are paying to the private provider currently running this program in our schools. And they are running the programs themselves as a school district, and they are also making significant profits. And I see no reason why we are not doing the same. And frankly, I'm very disturbed that since these two programs both existed before we began ours, that the 20-member or so committee who looked into starting a program at North Penn did not investigate these two programs, since they're in districts that are contiguous to ours, and certainly we should have been aware of them. I'm also very concerned that those in North Penn's administration, particularly Mr. Weir and Mrs. Tatum, both of whom have left this district, also never investigated these programs that have been highly successful from all indications in the nearby districts. And in Hatboro Horsham's case, with a population of roughly a third of ours, is making $100,000 a year for the district. And I think what we're doing is essentially just throwing money away that a private provider is gaining that North Penn could have instead. And the parents also could benefit by lower rates. It would be win-win for everybody. We're now the only person that I see winning is the private provider, who's getting ridiculously low rental fees from North Penn that are less than 2% what we charge other people who rent our schools. And I think it's time North Penn started taking some of these profits and perhaps giving the parents a better break at the same time. All along I've heard that we don't want to raise our rates because we don't want to make the cost higher to the parents. But both these programs, the costs are significantly lower to the parents. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lukowski. Stay tuned, because that issue is being researched as we're here tonight, matter of fact, and will be ongoing. Anybody else, please? Mrs. Gaiman.
Mary Gaiman, Upper Gwinnett Township. I wish to reinforce what Charles Bailey has brought to your attention concerning the refinancing. I don't think our favorite charity should be either solicitors or the bond refunding companies. If you look at the way the payments are scaled, and I'm sure Mr. O'Donnell has done this, it appears as if you go many years with very small payments, and then you get into the millions and millions in the future. I don't want to burden the children and the grandchildren in the North Penn School District just to right now have what appears to be ready cash. Could you please consider tabling your resolution until you get additional documentation from the bond refunding, supported by solicitors looking at the expenses? That's my request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anybody else, please? Okay, Superintendent.
Okay, tonight attached to the agenda, we do have a number of addendums, and we'll begin with the first addendum, which is attached to the front of your agenda, and that's to recommend approval of the revised 1998-99 school calendar to reflect the most recent snow day.
Okay, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Hill,
Second.
second by O'Donnell. Questions?
Question.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier that you were going to write this letter asking for the waiver.
Yes.
Do we need to, or maybe we've already done that, with the 14th as the last day, we've already assumed they've said no? And done it this way, and then ask for the waiver and then change it?
No, what we want to do is keep graduation scheduled for
Right.
the 11th.
They're not going to come back after that?
No. No, it wouldn't count if they did come back after graduation anyway as seniors.
Okay.
But there is a special provision in the state regulations for graduating seniors only, that they would give a waiver if we had built into our calendar additional days over the 180 to take care of any snow days that we have had, and we have,
And then we
and
need-
also that we've used up every possible day in the calendar other than holidays.
Right, okay. Anybody else, please? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go back to the agenda and recommend acceptance of the following gifts to the district. At Hatfield Elementary, Susan Black provided a clarinet in the amount of $200. At Inglewood, we had an anonymous donor of $30,000 worth of computers and equipment. And at Pembroke, the Home and School Association has provided a $2,000 upgrade of the auditorium sound system.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Mosey, second by Bukowski. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
The $30,000 in computer equipment, is that new equipment?
No, it's used equipment.
Used? So it won't have any effect on our, I mean, we have
It's
people.
it's supplemental.
We have people that are donating, you know, computer equipment. I mean, I know we have a computer or technology plan in place, but if some of this stuff can be used.
It's
should
being
we
used,
be
and
saving some money?
I would say probably in the later phases, rather than adding labs, et cetera, in some schools, we'll have these labs already up and running. But as far as the ones in the classroom, we're trying to stay with the same computer for
So we
service.
should realize some kind of a savings on our technology plan, that these
In the
computer
eventuality.
donations are being taken into consideration, I hope.
In eventuality, yes.
I don't mean eventuality, I think they should be taken into consideration.
Well, we do. and
Because if
we're-
it's stuff that we're not going to use, or it's not in compliance with our technology plan, then we should just beg off and say, thank you very much, but it's obsolete and we really can't use
Well,
it.
it's not obsolete, it is usable for us. It doesn't match exactly what we're putting in the classrooms, and we're trying to stay with the same things in the classrooms. But it's Mrs. Klein's feeling that she doesn't want to turn down this equipment, but also that we don't want to place it where there's going to be high traffic and that we can't maintain it either.
But she does feel it's something that is in
Yes,
compliance with.
we run everything, all donations through her that have to do with technology.
Thank you.
Speaking
other
of-
questions?
Speaking of compliance, is it Y2K compliant?
Probably not.
You got 6 months.
But the program's running,
But
right?
the programs will run, yeah.
Sure.
There may be some minor little
Depends what you're
glitches,
using
but
them for. If you're running CD-ROMs on them, they don't have to be Y2K compliant.
Any other questions?
Y2K compliant for the record is, just make sure it has Pentium 2 chip, that's all.
Oh, here we go. There we go.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna start that again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Recommend a award of the following bids for copy paper, nurses' supplies, and cooling tower installation and piping at North Penn High School.
So moved.
Motion by Schilling, second by Hill. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Under personnel, recommend approval of the following personnel items, nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Allen, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Under resignations, there is one correction. Kathleen Lesko, who is resigning, is a special aid, education aide and also a math support aide, just to get the correct titles.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Schilling. Questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Recommend approval of salary changes as listed.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Recommend approval of position changes.
So moved.
Motion by Schilling, second by Allen. Questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay.
Recommend approval of contract extension.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Schilling, second by Allen. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I noticed on the two individuals, Mrs. Miller, their salaries are going to $30,000 and $28,000. That will be from this point in time, or are we gonna go
No.
back and pay them the money that, the
No,
difference?
they were, Mr. Mosey, if you look right above it where it says from the salary that was there, that was for the time period that they were originally scheduled for,
Right.
which was 10/9 to 4.
That's where I'm confused, and I see you have 10/9, you've gone back to to 10-9 days, so we're
That
gonna
will be
give them
their-
additional money for over those days?
Yes, because they're now going to work until 6/16. They're not getting additional money for having been here. They're getting additional money for the additional time that they will be working from 4/9 till 6/16. And
Only
they're
the difference.
It doesn't say
Yes.
4-9, it says 10-9.
4/9.
Well,
10/9.
that's
4/9.
correct, because that's
Now it
that's
says
the
10.
length
And this
of
is
the
what it
time
will
that
be.
they've
No,
been
that's,
here.
see, that's where I'm confused. I was under the impression that they were working from 10-9 to 4-9 for $21,000.
That's correct.
Now from 4-9 to 6/16, they'll be working for $30,000.
At that rate an hour.
But it's the same exact rate per day. The difference is, I had to put on here
No,
their
no, I
entire.
guess, I don't mean to, I'm not trying to, when I'm asking, we're not gonna go back and pay them from
No, they've been.
10-9 to 4-9.
No, they've been paid
Based on
since.
30.
They already got 21 of the 30.
They've already been paid for the
Okay.
time that they're here.
That's what I was asking,
There's
because
no
I saw.
retroactivity.
No.
That's what I was asking, because I look at this, I see retroactivity based on
None.
the dates here.
No, this is the exact same rate,
Okay.
prorate on the same salary.
Okay, that's all, because it looked to me like it was retroactive.
No,
then.
not
Thank
at
you.
all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Recommend approval of leave of absence as listed.
Second.
Motion by Burkowski, second by Mosey. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
G, recommend a change of effective date of leave of absence.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey,
Second.
second by Hill. Come on, folks. Any questions?
Wake up. More coffee.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Recommend approval of extension of leave of absence.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Burkowski. Questions?
It's about time, Terry.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Okay, moving on, recommend approval of additions to the professional and support substitute list for the 98-99 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey,
Second.
second by Burkowski. Questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I see a name here. Is this lady work for the newspaper? Is this Barbara Delp here for the newspaper?
Comment on that. It's personnel information.
You
Under
know
biology?
everything. You know everything.
What's this, that's supposed
I mean,
I don't know. Can you answer that, Dr. Miller?
Later. I can answer it later, I can't answer it
You
now.
can't answer it now.
No.
Barbara A. Delp. Pardon? Do they have this? Do they have this?
They have a copy of it.
I know that, I'm not arguing.
Mr.
Okay.
O'Donnell, it's a matter of
Details behind it, you
personnel.
can't-
I can't answer the question.
Period.
Well,
And I don't
No.
care
Oh, you
if
asked where
Flipper's on
everybody
this
else was?
list, even he's entitled to some privacy.
thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Number 3, recommend approval of the following additions to the list of homebound instructors for the 98-99 school year. Dean Calabresi, elementary, and Elizabeth Freeman at the secondary level.
So moved.
So moved. Why am I so moving? I was last
I
year.
don't know,
I'm
you're
sorry.
allowed.
We got a motion by Schilling, second by Mosey. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, nay?
Recommend approval of changes to the extra duty assignments for the 98-99 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Schilling. Questions?
Where are they?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Okay, we're going back to the addendum for this one, and recommend appointment of David Page as interim principal at North Wales Elementary School with a stipend of $3,500 effective April 6, 1999, and this is to replace Dr. D. Jarnett, who will be leaving at that time.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Schilling. Any questions?
Where was he?
It was Gwen Norton
He's
for a while.
Gwen.
Dave Page is our staff developer
Staff
in the
Okay.
district.
All right, I knew the name was familiar. Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Okay, back to the regular agenda. Recommend approval of student travel, item BA-7.
So moved.
Motion by Mosey, second by Shapinsky. Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Thank you.
Informational items, the vandalism report as listed, BA-8.
So moved. Oh, that's information. Just a question if I can. I noticed that the school sign destroyed at Pembroke was $1,700. I noticed the February collection from students was $1,800. I understand according to the paper that they did apprehend the individual that destroyed that sign.
Yes.
Is this 1,800 part of that, or is that forthcoming what his restitution will be?
My understanding is we're getting the complete amount back.
But if you don't know if it's part of this 1,800 or not,
I don't know, I'd have to check with Art.
could you find out?
Sure.
Thank you.
And no, Mr. O'Donnell, we can't tell you that person's name.
Personnel. Come on, Donna.
But I saw Mrs. Abrams out there whipping somebody out there behind the school the other day. Okay, go ahead.
Under other business, recommend consideration of a resolution to direct Dolphin and Bradbury as investment banker, Pepper, Hamilton, and Sheets LLC as bond counsel, and Frank Bartle of Michelle Bartle, Yanoff, and Dooley as solicitor to take the action necessary to submit a proper bond purchase proposal for future consideration by the board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Sherpinski, second by Allen. Any questions or comments?
Just a comment based on what, I want to thank you, Mr. Bailey, because you put it more eloquently than I could. I had the same concern. Based on about what the president had said, should this be amended to wait until Bradbury and Dunn makes a clarification, or?
Well, I think that
The case is going to be sent to them, and they're going to answer questions that were raised tonight. Should this resolution be changed?
No, I think that this resolution is directing them to come up with a purchase proposal at this time.
And then that proposal is going to give us, it's going to give us a
Hopefully
fixed
he'll
rate.
give us the answers.
It's going to give us the fixed rate, and at that point in time, we can ask them. If I'm not mistaken, the first number does not include the interest by recalling these things.
Cost to call.
Exactly. So it's basically comparable. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so it should be understood that you're not voting to enact this evening, it's to let them proceed with pulling together the proposal.
Right.
And if there's still concerns, like I know some of us are having and feeling tonight based on what we've heard, then that's when you would either vote, pull the table or just vote no.
Just one other thing, if I can, and the proposal, and I don't remember if it came out at the work session, the proposal that they had made to the Finance Committee, Mr. Bradbury had said that if the school district couldn't realize at least a $1.5 million savings, that he would not recommend that this transaction go through. I think you were present there as well. They already admitted at the presentation he made at the work session that it's somewhere around $1,420,000 now. There's already an $8,000 slide, so to speak. Should that be part of this resolution? Should we be that specific, or isn't that necessary?
No, I don't think we need to be that
Okay.
specific.
All right.
That'll be part of his proposal,
all
again, his
right.
recommendation.
That's
His
all.
recommendation
Just want to
is
make
part
sure that we got our I's dotted and T's crossed. Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Okay, back to the addendum, and we're on other business. Recommend approval of the extension of the contract of Arthur Wood, Executive Director of Support Services, from June 30th, 1999 to September 30th, 1999.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Schilling, second by Allen. My question would be, heaven forbid, but if we are not done the major projects that we're hoping to keep Art here for by September 30th,
They will.
see, Art's not here.
They'll be done.
His projections were
They'll be
early
done.
August.
He's projecting July 1st for the high school.
Right.
Early August for elementary.
He's open to
I've
stay
been
until
there.
the projects are finished. I would want to put a
Sure.
September 30th date on it when, to me,
I don't see
I don't want him
a
to go till the projects are done.
I think you
It can
may
only be
see him
amended.
come back. I think you may see him come back and maybe even want to be out of here by, right after school opens, because I think the projects are going to be that far ahead. I don't think
Okay.
he's going to want to stay there.
Well, we can always amend it. We can always amend it later.
Should we have a daily rate in? Should we have it now?
Okay, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Also on the addendum, recommend approval of recommend approval of the administrative salary bands.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Hill, second by Prokowski. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
Roll call, Ms. Liberowski.
Allen,
No.
Hill,
Yes.
Mosey,
No.
O'Donnell,
Yes.
Frankowski,
Yes.
Schilling,
Yes.
Yes.
Mengel.
Yes.
So carries,
Okay.
Okay, under finance, treasurer's report.
Oh, wait, I have other business.
Okay.
Yes, I understand, folks, that there is going to be a dunking booth for May Day in Hatfield. Featured
I'll be dry all day.
volunteer dunker, or donkey.
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 Oh, yeah, are you the donkey?
Is our doctor, Bob
I'm not a
Estes.
donkey till I get dunked. I don't think I'll get
Don't believe
dunked.
you'll get dunked.
care of
There's no
that.
question about that.
But see, there's a thing here, we have many people who support Hatfield or come directly from Hatfield. We do know that Mr. Frank O'Donnell has also offered to don a T-shirt or shorts or a thong or something. And we have Mrs. Perkowski,
I'm
and
working
we have
that day.
Mr. Schilling and
Yeah.
Mr.
At a
Allen
booth?
from
Oh, you're in the
Hatfield,
booth.
and
No, at the
there's
booth.
been questions as to whether or not they will be,
I'll be there dunking Bob.
I'll collect the ticket.
okay?
Give him a beach
Mr.
ball.
Allen,
I'm
you
busy
got a
that
bathing
day.
suit?
What's that date again?
May 29th.
If it's a Saturday, I'm busy.
Anyway, I think Channel 16 should be there, so please tell Mr. Gilmer that we could probably use some videotape on that day. I mean, really use videotape on that day.
Is it a Saturday? Yes.
Finance report.
Say the treasurer's report, the school district has received cash receipts today of $106,015,390. Cash disbursements year to date of $71,733,423, making total available funds of $50,014,381 as of 2/28/99. Motion for approval.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay.
We got a motion and a second. Questions?
I'm sorry.
You don't have to prove.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yes,
No, no. On the short-term investments, have we moved any money over to the invest program yet?
Not as of 2/28.
Okay, let me back up. Did we fill out the application yet and send it in?
Yes, you will see activity in March,
Okay,
or the April board meeting reflecting March activity.
How much are we moving?
I can't answer that this evening. It would be a decision based on
But
rates
you
and
can move
availability of
as
funds.
much as you want to go before 3 o'clock, still have a transfer the same day. I would recommend you move every penny you can, as long as it's a higher interest rate than wherever we have it now.
I
That's all.
understand.
Boy, this better pan out because you've been so single-focused on invest, I have to wonder if you're not a stockholder.
No, it's all Pennsylvania money.
Oh, good, yeah, probably union money.
Item
You don't need approval, go ahead. Okay.
Item 6B, sanction and approval of invoices for the general fund in the amount of $706,378.60. 1996 bond fund in the amount of $966,861. 1999 bond fund in the amount of $157,889.
So moved.
Motion by Hill, second by O'Donnell. Questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you.
Item 6C, budget transfers. Recommend approval of budget transfers for the 98-99 fiscal year in the total amount of $32,158.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Schilling, second by O'Donnell. Any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Item number 1, if I can, Mr. Powers. Approval of $10,000 from diesel transportation to $10,000 contracted carrier. Is that part of the rider contract?
No, I would suggest that special needs transportation.
Special ed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're positive?
Yes.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. Food service report?
Food service report as of February 1999 details total income of $1,766,678. Net operating profit of $56,029. Again, our participation is up as compared to prior years. Total lunches served January 1999, 136,246. Total breakfast servings, 15,406. So again, we see strong operating results. And just as an aside, Dottie Irvin has been very helpful to another school district client that I am working with, and she's been instrumental in showing another district how North Penn operates a very successful program, and I thought the board needed to hear that as well this evening.
That's very nice, but do we get a consultation fee for that kind of expertise we pay for?
It was on a voluntary basis, but we
You want a free
could
lunch?
So,
send an invoice and see what
You're
happens.
talking free trade secrets, are you, Mr. Sowers there?
You want a free lunch?
I would suggest it's cooperative ventures, especially in how Dottie and her staff entertains purchase situations or cooperative ventures on how she gets her cost of goods sold down to a appropriate level. I can send an invoice if you like, see what happens.
I think it's worth talking about. The more expertise we develop around here, the more ownership interest, you know? Something to think about. Good report. Good report. Okay, federal, state, and other programs. Dr. Venema is not here. Dr.
No report.
No report. Okay, any questions, Dr. Hassler?
No report?
Like, where's Dr. Venema?
His daughter's birthday party wasn't good enough.
Actually, yeah, actually, he's visiting his daughter at college.
Well, there you go.
All right.
Little piece of information, little personnel information that got out. Look at Dr. Miller, she's having a heart attack. Let's not let anybody know we're human. Solicitors report. Mr. Taylor,
I have no report.
are you sure?
Yeah, positive.
Motion to adjourn.
Any good gossip?
After the meeting.
So, may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Hey, Bob.
Oh, all right.